Nice of you to drop in.
I'll come for you, Joker. You're going back to Arkham.
Where the eyes
I know.
Something to one of the coins for YouTube.
Oh, you can use some of the footage I got.
No, I want to get him to do something for me.
Alright.
No, we haven't introduced ourselves yet.
Never mind.
Are you moderating us, or should we just go?
Yeah, we have a moderator and the person that's from Kansas on
Look at the sandwich. Huh? Look at the sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit in that chair actually and just hang out.
Yeah, I put that chair just for you. I'll put a whoopee
I'm going to bring over here because I don't want to be
We'll have to go down the line and you can talk about it and really do it. And tell them what you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Ben. I run a small studio in New Jersey called Pixel Please. We just released a game to the App Store. You should all be downloading it right now.
Download it right
Saver. Yeah.
Star Saver.
Yes. So I am a producer. I'm kind of a programmer right now out of necessity. I worked as a producer in the games industry for 7-8 years.
Oh no.
And I started as a production artist. So I've been kind of around doing various things for a while.
My name is Shahid Joker, and I work in technical evangelism for a small company. You might have heard from Microsoft. I have my teacher over here. So I have about...
I thought you were going to show a tattoo.
I do, yeah, right underneath too. As part of my job as technical evangelist, I'd like to hear from indie developers to hear what games you're currently working on, or as you guys are probably interested in careers in the gaming world, whether you're entering as an indie developer or wanting to go into AAA, have your questions answered. And I come from a career in making business applications, which was kind of boring for me, so I started doing indie games on the side, and I found myself in this position to help.
What is just out of curiosity, what is a technical evangelist?
Good question. So technical evangelist, so we heal people. No, we don't. So we like to help people finish their apps or games, just bring their ideas to fruition. Let's say you're working on a Unity game, you're wondering how you can bring it to market. We'll help you from inception to publishing and promotion as well. So we don't sit with you and code the game day by day, but we'll advise you and provide you free software and hardware to get your game done. Cool.
My name is Ellen Stern. I'm a voice actress, I'm an actress, I'm also a director and a writer. I started, well, Richard, it's hard to, we're not connected at the hip. Well, we are connected at the hip. Actually, the whole sad story, or very happy story, started 34 years ago when I met this gentleman next to me. 32 years ago yesterday, we got married.
Yeah, man.
Honey, it happened in Utah. So anyhow, we got married, and I was starring in film, and following the film, one of the people in the film asked me if I'd like to do some voice work, and I said, yeah. Do you have any male characters in this film? And of course there's male characters. There's always 2 females and 1 million male characters. But so anyhow, not in this one. So anyhow, Richard and I both went to the audition. We both got it. That was over 30 years ago, and it's been just a tumbling on down the road event ever since. I'm currently in Wrinkles. I'm starring in it with Martin Sheen. It's an animated feature. Martin Sheen, Matthew Modine, and George Coe. And let me see what else. We started off in Robotech. I'm in Gundam Unicorn. I play Martha Best Carbine. Let me see, games. We're on to games. Star Ocean 1 and 2, Blue Dragon. Thank you. Jade Cocoon, one that I directed it. Thank you. And then somebody came up to me with, what was it, Neo, what was it? Neo Fighters, Neo something.
Double Dragon.
One of your favorites, I can tell.
We've done a bunch. It's just so hard to remember. It's 30 years of work. But cheater.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I'm jealous that I didn't think of that first. But anyhow, I'm in a bunch of games and a bunch of animation, and I'm going to let Richard talk.
Because you said you're going to let Richard talk, and that's the first time that's ever happened. Hi, I'm Richard Epgar. And I've been doing this for a long time. I started out in Robotech with Ellen as well, and I've been in a lot of games. I'm in probably almost every single game franchise there is. Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Skyrim, Star Wars, Transformers, pretty much, I gotta look at my notes here. Star Wars, yeah, Star Wars the games. I'm looking at
I didn't remember you doing
yeah, I was the guy who did Tin Can. I was R2D2. I directed Blue Dragon for Microsoft, and that was a lot of fun. And I also directed SmackDown vs. Raw.
Oh, cool.
We'll talk that out later on.
One of my favorites, though, is I'm the Joker in 3 different Batman games. One of my favorite, and I'm in a new one right now called Infinite Crisis, which is happening. I have the voice of George Hammond in the new Stargate games that are coming out. Raiden and Mortal Kombat. I co-directed Arkham Origins that just came out. Saints Row, and just a whole bunch of other stuff I don't want to bore you with. League of Legends, World of Warcraft, and on and on and on, ad nauseam. Just a lot of stuff.
Richard Epcar is the man.
No.
That's what I'm trying to say. So again, I'm Cesar Diaz, and we put this, I'm one of the folks that helped put this thing together. And again, I appreciate you guys coming out. You guys got a great panel, so we're going to do a short. I'm going to ask them a few questions. They're going to go at it, and then we'll do Q&A, kind of like we did with the last one. So I guess right off the top, within your specific, I don't want to say genre or the field, your specific field, how would somebody get started in gaming? So we can just go down the line, just like we did with the intro.
Okay, what do you want to get started at? Production. I know production.
And what's the best way? Like how can somebody that has zero to little knowledge of the field be able to start? What's the best path to take? To start going on that path.
So this is a general recommendation for anyone getting into any field in gaming. And I've said this to anyone that's interested. Just loving games isn't good enough. That's not what you need to be successful at a career in gaming. What you need is you need a shippable skill. You need something that you can bring to a company that you are passionate about and be passionate about games. Because say you're a great programmer and you come with a great, a great skill set, you can be making a lot more money by doing something else. So you're an awesome artist. You can make a lot more money being an awesome artist doing something else. Games is not a great place to make money. But I love making games, and I can't do anything else. I wouldn't do anything else. But what I would say is when you're getting started and you're like taking your portfolios and taking your work to companies, make sure you are practiced at what you want to do and make sure that you're passionate about what you want to do. That applies to any discipline in gaming. You know, it applies to programming, art, voice acting, everything else. They can be making more money doing Hollywood movies than they can doing games.
What? Now you tell me.
Yeah, that's right. That's practice.
So my answer to that is I have a weird mix of both working for a top company like Microsoft and also being an indie developer myself. It's a little weird to hear, but as a technical advantage of Microsoft, I've been given permission to continue doing indie games and dev tools on my own time and talking to the community as an indie developer as well as Microsoft representative. So for those of you who are looking for jobs in the AAA industry, or whether you're going indie development, the path to that is really your own path, I would like to say. And what does that mean? It means to find out something that you're good at. So as you pointed out, don't chase the money and say I'm going to make the next big Angry Bird. Think about the skills you have. Let's say you're good at art, or you want to be good at art. So it doesn't have to be something you are good at today. It can be something you really want to do and you feel that you can excel in it. Then proceed with that and see if you can make something, a portfolio that you can maybe publish online or in an app store, and you can show it to a top company and see if you can get a job there. And if you're continuing to work at your current day job and you'd like to continue making indie games on the side, do that as well. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I've seen people go in both directions. So let's say someone just came out with some big Call of Duty project and quit his job just to make an indie game with a bunch of friends. And on the flip side, I've seen indie developers succeed and they've made a name for themselves, and now they have a great portfolio to apply at top companies. So again, find out what you do best, and don't worry about which way you're entering the game industry. Find something you're good at.
Well, of course, we come at it from voice acting. But before we were voice actors, we were actors. We still are actors, and we try and do as many Hollywood movies. But it still doesn't pay. I'm half joking and half serious, because the truth of the matter is that it's a very, very competitive market. And we are at the top of the market, and still every time you have to go in, you have to audition and hope that you're the one that's chosen. How many of you want to be voice actors? Well, the good news is that young people are still being sought after. The hero voices are the main voices that they look for, which are the voices of the young men. Women, it's very, very tough, because there's like a couple of roles for women and a gazillion for men. So you have to be very, very well versed in a very big range. So it's not just being able to do one character, so you've got one voice. The only time it really does work
is if you have a really high voice and this is the way you sound all the time, and people will cast you based on that voice.
But the truth of the matter is that for all the voice characters that we have done, they all start with good acting skills. So the best advice that I can give you is go and take acting classes. Because if you know how to create a character, then you'll know how to create a character for voice work. You don't have the liberty of studying a character and doing a lot of research beforehand. They give you like a Bible, which is basically, this is what the whole show is about, and this is what your character is about. Boom, go. You've got 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes in the booth to audition. And if you do not go in there with your game on, being really, really strong, forget about it. They will never call you in again. So take acting classes, and there's a thing called voicebank.net, voicebank.net, and you can hear all the voice actors, all their voices, and they come on with like little minute panels where you can just hear how strong they are, and this is the competition. So do your research, go and learn, and take acting classes, and then take voice classes also. Thank you. It's your turn.
Go to medical school. Yeah, pretty much what Ellen said. Become the best actor you can be. And that's the most important thing in voice acting, is acting. The cool thing about voice acting to me, as opposed to doing the big Hollywood movies, is that when you're in a movie or on camera, and Ellen and I still do that sort of stuff as well, but when you're doing film acting, for the most part, you're playing yourself in a situation as a character. You're pretty much yourself. The thing that I love about voice acting is you can be any character that you can imagine vocally, and that's really a lot of fun. And to me, it's almost more acting than it is on-camera acting, because you can just be all of these crazy characters. When I walk in for an audition for an on-camera thing, they basically look at me and say, here's a big guy, well, what are we going to do with this guy? But when I go in and, you know, I'm in the booth, I can be all kinds of characters. And my favorite thing is when I do a part and people come up to me and say, oh my God, I had no idea that was you. And that to me is a lot of fun. And I'd love to do the characters that I'm recognized for, or the voice that I'm recognized for, but it's really fun for me to be these characters that people have no idea that it's me. So that's kind of the fun thing for me to do this stuff. Yes, you in the white shirt.
I know you met with my wife.
Yeah.
And you filmed something for her. You do something similar.
Princess, didn't I kill the last guy who called me that? He should have known I'm the only joker around here. No way I couldn't. You're welcome.
So, with regards to getting started and things of that nature, what are the kind of tools that you guys have used early on to kind of try to get working? I mean, I know you mentioned voice bank, was it?
Voicebank.net.
So I know it's kind of different for, I guess, voice acting than it is for some of the other, programmers and codes and things of that nature. But, I mean, within your field, what are some of the type of tools that some of you guys can use to benefit?
Yeah, I'll start. In the games industry, specifically in production side, it's almost 100% about networking. It is about who you can get your work in front of and be able to influence. You need a cheerleader. You need someone on your side. There's a couple ways to do that. You can use internships to be able to connect to the correct people. Now, a lot of people will take internships and will take QA jobs and things like that as an entry-level position, but they're afraid to step out of that role. What you need to do is you need to be able to get in front of the people you need to get in front of and present yourself as someone that can help them do their job or can do that job. So if you get like an intern position at, say, MTV Games, I'm just making this up now, but they're going to try to keep you doing a specific job and kind of keep you away from actual production crew a lot of the times. You need to find a way to go have lunch at the same places that these people are. Make sure you're bringing your work along with you. Make sure that people are aware that you have skills that you can present to them. That's how I've gotten jobs, is just being able to connect to the right people at the right time.
Before you answer. What I was looking for was more like a technical thing, like, you know,
That's what I was saying.
And that's what I was looking for. but I love that answer, and I want to say, I kind of want to add to it to say, persistence. If somebody tells you no, you gotta take that, brush your shoulders and keep moving and go to the next guy. And so he says yes. That's a big thing, and I'm looking for both answers actually.
Okay,
I'm so happy that you said that.
When you say tools, I'm thinking like a set of tools that you can use to like get a job.
No, that's exactly it. Exactly. That's part of the toolkit. I mean, as much as you're going to be using some kind of a programming, Unity, or whatever it is you're going to be using, it's as much as business acumen and learning how to talk to people about advertising and marketing and things of that nature to be able to sell your game and create a game. So I'm so glad you said that.
As far as production tools go, it would change on change every couple of years. By the time you learn one set of technologies, they're on to something else. So it's really, really hard to nail that down. You're always learning something new. Like if someone came to me 5 years ago and was like, I know Unity, I would have been, I don't care, what is that? Now Unity's in demand. If, 5 years from now, Unity will be something that was something we used 5 years ago, and go on to the next thing. So well, yeah, right now, Unity is a good thing. Start looking ahead onto what's coming next. Like Objective-C was the big thing a couple of years ago. Now it's, Android and script programming and HTML5 JavaScript. But by the time you get your head around that, you'll be on to something else. So just be aware that it always changes. Your skills are always obsolete.
So I like to answer that a little differently. So whatever skills you get out of the tools that you use, those skills carry over. So let's say you learn about game logic and how to make a game. You think about making the game and abstract away the actual tools themselves. You'll find that the experience you've made over the years will carry over to the next job, to the next project you're working on. And tool-wise, there are specific tools today that are popular, so I'm going to mention a couple of them. So how many of you here have never worked on a game before, in the game industry or in private? Okay, very good, a lot of them, right? So if you're just starting out, you might be perplexed about all these programming languages, other things that are out there. So at the low end, I would suggest using some visual tools available, and I'm not talking just Unity, but step a little backward. Construct 2 is a really easy tool to use, and it actually outputs HTML5 and JavaScript games. You could code them from scratch using a JavaScript framework, such as Impact.js, that's the popular framework. But using Construct 2, you can output a game without any programming experience, but you have exposure to things that programmers need to know, like objects and variables and events and graphics and parallax and things that people use in real games. And you'll end up with a 2D game that you can publish to virtually any platform out there, including Windows and iOS and so on. In between, I would say, actually, let's go to the far end. Something that all professional AAA game developers use are C++. On the Microsoft side, DirectX is really popular, so you could pull up your Windows machine and use C++ DirectX. If you have a Mac, you can install Windows on it through a program called Parallels, and also install Visual Studio and use C++ and DirectX. If you're doing iPhone and Android, a couple of tools we mentioned, Objective-C, your new language is called Swift from Apple. On the Java side, on the Android side, you have a programming language for Java. You can do all that, but that, again, it requires a lot of programming. For the majority of you just starting out, you have to find some sort of middle ground. And the middle ground is Unity today. So Unity is a visual tool that lets you create both 2D and 3D games. And the back end does require some programming, but by doing the visual stuff with point and click and drag and drop, and importing objects and games, game objects into your game, you can leave the programming either to maybe a friend or partner who does the programming for you, or you can learn programming this way. What better way to learn programming than to have a visual tool that does a lot of the work for you where you can code the video. So I would say, look at those three things that I said, Construct 2, C++, and Unity in between, and whatever skills you learn today, you'll be able to work with them skills.
So get really smart.
Do you mind if I just follow up just a little bit? Because
yes.
What
You mind? Go ahead.
Okay. Just a small point. One thing I didn't say that is important to me, especially when you're applying to get into these jobs, is fundamentals. Like you mentioned, C++ and sort of the core fundamental of like programming fundamentals. Make sure you understand those if you're looking for specifically a programming job. If you're looking for a design job, then yes, something like construct and things to those natures do gear like towards I understand design. But if you're looking at the technology side, you're looking at like actually engineering jobs, actually programming jobs, then fundamentals, no C++, no C, no Java, no how all that stuff works.
Do you know how that stuff works?
Sure. It's so interesting hearing both of you speak because it's a whole other language to us. No, I mean seriously. But by the same token, if you heard us speak, it's a whole other language to you. And so, using tools, you have to learn the language of wherever it is that you're going to be working. If you're going to be working technically, you have to know not only the language, but the tools that are necessary in order to be able to utilize it. So too, in voice acting, labials, plosives, things about the mic that are so essential. You can't just walk in and blast everyone away. You have to know mic technique. When you're a voice actor, the only tools outside of the mic that you have is you. So what you have to do is you have to take voice classes. I'm not talking singing, although singing classes are wonderful, but you have to know how to sustain a line. Especially if the dialogue written has been, if you're dubbing it, you have to know how to sustain the line so that you don't run out of breath at the end and nobody understands what you're saying. You have to have the tools of your trade. Not only voice, but you have to have freedom of your body. When we go into the booth, you can't have change in your pocket, you can't have anything jingly or clothes that make noise. All of this is picked up by the mic. So, but by the same token, if you're in a war with somebody, or if you're having a fight, and you have to know how to scream, no, you don't wear bracelets like that. You have to know how to scream. If I would do it straight into the mic, I'd blast you away, and more than that, I'd do popping noises, and the poor engineer, what he would have to deal with. So you have to know your mic technique and freedom of body, because even though we're in the booth, we still move. Our hands move, and we have freedom of body, but you still have to be on the mic while you're doing this. And the other is your acting chops. You've got to know how to develop a character. Just to have the voice is not enough. You've got to know how to build the character. So even if you're doing one episode of an animated show, there is an arc to the character, so that you begin at one place and you have a transition and you finish at another place. Every time you do a character, it's a 3-act play. You have a beginning, you have your exposition, then you have your problem, you have something you have to accomplish, and then you have your 3rd act, where you have your resolve. Sometimes you just go in and you're just a bird chirping in the tree. But even that, the bird chirping in the tree has to have a place that it's coming from. So you have to know how to develop your characters. You have to know how to have breath control, how to have good voice so that your voice doesn't run out of air at the end. And also, you have to know how to have good diction. Because one of the things that Richard and I are both directors in addition to being voice actors. And one of the things that you have to know how to do is how to project and not run out of air. So, and lots of times that happens. I'll tell you just a very, very quick story. I was directing Star Wars into the Navajo language. And Star Wars episode for A New Hope. And this was very, very important because it was the first time the Navajo language was going to be done on film and heard. So anyhow, I had all Navajo speakers, and but they weren't trained in acting at all. So I had one guy coming, this was when the stormtroopers were coming out and they were bombing and you know, shooting and all this was happening. So I had one guy in the booth and all he had to do was go, "I've been hit!" Well, the Navajos are very, very gentle people. And so I said, okay, you're going to hear 3 beeps, more tools for you. We work with a beep system. It's 3 beeps. On the 4th imaginary beep is when you start speaking. So it went beep. I said, okay, big and loud. I want you to yell out. Beep, beep, beep. I've been hit. No, that's good. And of course it's a Navajo, which I don't speak. I have translators. I know that's good, but we're going to do it really loud. Okay, your buddy's at the far end of the room, and you've got to make him hear you, because he's not going to hear you, and you need help. Understand? And in Navajo, beep, beep, beep. I've been hit. Okay, I'm coming into the booth. I'm going to hold you up. And he looks at me like I'm crazy. And I go, okay, you can hear the 3 beeps on the 4th imaginary beep. You say your line big and loud. Scream it to the other side of the room. Beep, beep, beep. And he starts off, I've been hit. And I stuck my finger in his back. And I got what I wanted. but anyhow, I mean, these people were untrained, but we had to do it in the Navajo language. And you have stuff like that. But if you are going to compete, you have got to know how to do all this. Voice classes, acting classes, those are your tools. You are your only tool you have.
So the mic picks up everything. That's why I stopped wearing chainmail underwear.
Only on anniversaries.
It'd be painful, actually. Have to rethink that. You know, Ellen covered a lot of good points, and a lot of it is just like, you know, breath control and things like that, and things that an actor needs. And it's very important as a voice actor to warm up your voice before. I mean, I was working on this Call of Duty game, and basically it was a scream fest, and I was supposed to be there for 4 hours, and the guy kept me there for 6 hours, just screaming my ass off for 6 hours. And at the end of the thing, he says, I saved the best 10 loops for the end of the game. I said, what are the best 10 loops? He said, you're being burned alive by a flamethrower. And I need 10 of them, 30 seconds long, and go. So, and then of course I had a Hallmark card, a commercial for the radio the next day, and I had like no voice at all. But, you know, basically there's a lot of things you learn, a lot of tricks you learn, and this gentleman here asked me some of the stuff I came to the table who were out there asking me about when you're screaming and yelling, how do you protect your voice? And the best thing you can do is keep it wet, drink a lot of water while you're in there, and you know, and try not to tighten your throat when you're screaming. That's really important. You have to know how to yell, because we do this for hours and hours. Now people can go, I can scream, and they get in there and they do two or three screams and they have no voice left. And so we do it for hours because we know how to do it. We've been doing this a long time. We're pros, and we work at it. So there's certain things you need to learn about that. Also, you were asking me about demo tapes for people who want to be actors in this business. And he was saying to me he had nothing really that he could put on his demo. I said, well, you can create your own demo. And the thing is, the way you do that is basically you make a list, sit down one day, and just write down the voices that you think you do strongly, and don't put down, you know, I do Donald Duck or I do Mickey Mouse, or because they have people that do that, and nobody cares that you can imitate somebody else who's doing a voice right now. But if you can do something unique to your own voice, and just make a list of the different voices that you do, and write a line or two of dialogue for those characters, and do those lines, and then maybe you can do it, or have a friend put some music and effects to it, and keep it under a minute and a half at the most, and you'll have a good demo, and you can start sending that around for animation. So.
I think there's a question
Yes.
Yeah, for voice acting. For those who like maybe want accents but don't exactly have accents, what would your advice be for them?
Don't do it. Because you're going to be competing against people that are brilliant at it. And if you have a crappy accent, then don't do it. You know, only do the stuff that you feel really, really confident about, that you feel really strong about. You don't want to put stuff that's weak on there, because then they won't hire you. Right?
In the game industry, you've probably seen a lot of games where they'll, let's say, some Russian forces are attacking the U.S. and you hear a voice and you might think, oh, that's not a very good accent. A lot of the times they do get by and they'll hire wherever they can. But again, it's the gamers, they do recognize it. So if it's not the perfect accent, you'll still find jobs. But sometimes the end user's not going to.
I'm sorry.
Just wanted to say, generally, what we ask for when we're auditioning people is a mid-Atlantic accent. And what that is, it's just a clear, unaccented voice. Now, it may be while you're in the booth, there's a guy, the Russian guy, and they go, can you do, oh, but yes, I can do Russian. And so you slip into it. Now, it's good to have those in your back pocket. But if you're going to do a demo, keep the voices to the ones that are in your wheelhouse. It's actually what I call the money voices. Your money voice is basically the voice that's within you. That's the voice you use all the time. For instance, Richard's money voice is the big, strong, authoritarian kind of guys. And, and my money voice is more, I do a lot of moms, you know, so I get the mom voices a lot. No, I mean, that's not the only voices that we do. We do tons and tons. But it's like, if you've got a very young voice and you're a young girl, if you've got a very young voice and you're a guy, I mean, those are money voices. And when I mean money voices, I mean good money voices, because those are going to be generally the voices you're going to be cast as most of the time. So put down your wheelhouse. But again, don't do your demo until you have taken some classes. And again, find somebody who knows how to do this, who really is good at it. Because there's a lot of scammy things out there, and there's a lot of people who will charge you a lot of money, and they don't have the knowledge. So do your research before you get taken monetarily. Do your research, find out what has this guy done, you know. Don't take an intensive and say, oh, I studied with this person, and then think you've got it. You need to have an ongoing class. Yes.
I have a question for all four of you, but I need to ask it differently because of your fields. So for the voice actors, do you find that you get a character and like a picture of the character, say the Joker for the games, and go, we want you to do a voice for this character, or do you find it more that you have a description of the character and maybe not even a sketch yet prepared?
It's all different, you know, it just depends. Sometimes you'll go in and get a picture, and for me, a picture's great. Once I see a picture of this guy, I know what he sounds like.
Okay.
But sometimes you don't get a picture, sometimes you get a description of what the character is like. So you have to really listen and look at it and try to find clues in the description about this person. And sometimes the thing I absolutely hate, but they do it a lot, is they'll go, he's like a Brad Pitt kind of guy, or you know, he's like George Clooney kind of guy, or it's like, it's like, no, I really hate that, because it's like, then you wind up trying to sound like these actors instead of trying to be the character. Tell me what the character's like. I don't want to know what you think in your head that this guy might sound like. Tell me what this character is about, and then let me come up with a voice for the character. But it's all different. Sometimes you'll have a great director and give you a lot of context and tell you what's going on and help you, and then other times you get a guy who either doesn't know what he's doing or doesn't want to tell you anything and just wants to see what you're going to come up with. And in those cases, you just have to jump in with both feet and just commit to whatever it is you've decided to do with this character and go for it. So.
Also, one of the things that comes up, he's very brash, but he's a little bit shy. He's intimidating, but yet he's very sensitive. I mean, again, he's thin but he's fat. And so basically you're not getting a description at all. And so if you can, the best thing to do is to ask the director. If you can be more definitive, and sometimes they'll say, I don't know, this is what they gave me.